on YouTube. Just waiting for them to wake up. Looks like they have woken up. And we are live. Just sending a notification out to Instagram and Facebook. Wrestling up the Crommunity to give the first showing off the first CROM Anthology. So obviously I can't be any more excited than I am right now. I am actually trying my best to contain myself because I am a very excitable young man right now. All right, so gonna give a couple minutes, make sure the signal's sent out, and we'll start sharing a lot of information because there's a lot to be shared. That's what I have to say. So, man, year and 2 months this took me. The counterpart right now is CROM Collected 2024, 140 pages. In comparison, this is the CROM Anthology #1, 256 pages. But August of 2024, I did release the CROM collection, which was basically all the material that I had produced and refined, revised, and got into a single volume. And I call it the Player's Hand Guide for CROM, at least, because the original Fox and Gwynta, Jack Cat stories are in here. Even a lengthy prose, 30-page prose that I did spot illustrations for to get people. That's CROM and the Warlock of Sharador to really generate, stimulate ideas, about this public domain character. And of course, I had some amazing contributors. I did some Virgin covers, and then that led to the conversation about collaborating, or at least showing off more of their work and others too. So I'm going to be getting more and more into all that is CROM Anthology, from the developing and growing Crommunity. Like I said, I am just doing my best to contain myself and not start squealing like a little girl about how excited I am. It's just, I go over this over and over again and will constantly repeat myself. This here is my art. I know, it's easy to think of drawing pages of art, even the pages of art as art, but really the art form of comic books is way more interesting to me in the book format, especially the magazine format, because of Savage Sword of Conan and Heavy Metal magazine. And that's what I primarily grew up on, other than like other indie ninja and Sword and Sorcery titles, a little bit of X-Men, Teen Titans, Daredevil, peppered in there. But the experience of reading comics in the Sword and Sorcery format, the Savage Sword of Conan format, and Heavy Metal magazine is really what I emotionally connect myself to. And especially as a creative person, I want to relive and re-experience and get other people to have that same experience in their getting into comics, staying involved in comics. So the art form for me is this art form of a book. So, and this is all together. So let me just start getting into it because I cannot contain myself anymore. 256 pages, black and white. I'm going to go through a couple of things. I'm not going to spoil a lot. I'm going to be going live very often to promote. But right now, right this second, as you hear my voice, whether it's in this live or the replay or the little content clips I pull from it in post, I have designed a web page, a pre-order page, which will convert to an ordering page on cromthebarbarian.com. And right now it's being held secret. So if you are a Crommunity member, in other words, you are on the newsletter, you have already received an email. If you do not see this email, go into the spam folder. I think Gmail has this promotion folder now. I mean, I find stuff in there like I got 6 months ago from somebody, don't understand, but there is a link to this webpage that has the ability to pre-order and a steep discount code that you can use for your first issue of CROM Anthology #1, and also everything else that I offer on cromthebarbarian.com, which is the 2024 CROM Collected. We have Jim Gullett, his collection of the first 4 CROMs that he did for Lucky Comics. Even have a Jeff Lafferty, Berserkonaut. Of course, we have Scoundrel's Dread by Drawn Sword, which is the dark concept art intergalactic barbarian. I always say barbarians, bounty hunters. Just an incredible work of art to have. And I refreshed the stock for Brutal Blade of CROM issue 1, 2, and 3. So if you have not received the email, can't find the email, know you're on the newsletter, just go over to cromthebarbarian.com. There's the contact, send me a form that way, or you can go directly to me, Kurt, at cromthebarbarian.com. And we'll hammer that out. Why I'm doing this and the release this way is I really want to treat the Crommunity as a very special place, because it is. I think there's way too much getting product to shelf, securing thousands of copies to be printed and sold. I'm just not in that space. I'm really in the space of making my art and sharing my art with other people. And of course, recouping the expenses that it takes to be a human being, let alone an artist in the world. So, to drive revenue is a very, very important part, but it's not the primary part. I really want people to get involved with the Crommunity on what level. That basic level could be just purchasing CROM Anthology and other books that are in the Barbarian Library, or submitting writings, requests, art in the way of pinups or stories, scripts. It's another thing that is pretty exciting, and and feel that same sense of reciprocation that I am right now, which is, you put all this work in there, and then you want to see, it on the page, and especially among 256 pages of what I've curated to be a similar feeling of comic book and story content to generate and inspire others to get off their butts and make. So this is really important to me. And I know it's also important to a lot of other people, because we're dealing with Just checking live stream. And yeah. All right. It's just the way that everything is working out, and it's working out beautifully. When I did the call out to people joining up for the newsletter, it might not sound like a lot of people, but 10 people joined, so that means a lot to me, and there's a reality to it. So, looking forward to reciprocating and getting that that taste and feel out to people. But let's get to really the biggest thing I want to talk about is the table of contents. Like I said, I'm not going to tease too much in the way or show off. I'm going to tease the heck out of you today. Monday, if not Tuesday, I will be back for live and showing off and telling more. But this is the meat and guts of these 256 pages, not including the 60 pages of the artist gallery, which I'll show off here towards the end, a couple of them there, because there's a really exciting bulk up that happened. I'll share. So, lead off with my CROM Daring. Go to John Molina's CROM and the Serpent's Lair. Lala and the Time Machine. Arabian Nights, which is a really, really nice 1943 reprint. And there's going to be more coming out about that. As a matter of fact, there's an entire collection that'll be coming in the next coming weeks, maybe month or so. CROM the Heart with Jason Schoonover, Siegfried and the Dragon. One of my favorite, it's really cool, pulp illustrators is Vince Napoli. And he actually illustrated a Fox story, a pulp story back in the 40s and everything. So it really shows you how tight that community was. Spawn of Afgorkin. It's a photo comic. Rick Frayne, Zoe Angeli, and myself. Really super excited to show that off. CROM of Clarn, which was the 30-page written revised prose story from an old Fox pulp, turned it into a CROM story to be brought into the universe, the CROM universe, and then did spot illustrations, which I'm going to show off at the end of this live thing. Dexter Jones, God CROM. Really, really funny breakup on the humor level. CROM La Barbarian, Steve Sonneveld, and myself inking. CROM Jr., another like a cartoon humor bit. A fantastic telling of a Lord Dunsany story by Dean Kotz. And between here and here, these are two foundational sword and sorcery pieces of material. The Arabian Nights and fairy tales, especially like from Lord Dunsany, pinnacle inspiration and motivational stuff. CROM the Courageous, Part 1 of 3, John Sword and Ron Parsons teaming up there. Rogan of the North, which is a really, really cool collection that's going to be coming down the road, but kind of, what do you call it, unearthing and saving from the pits of abandon there. CROM and the Serpent's Altar by Adam Bennett. CROM and Gervanus, which is myself writing, and then the art of Ken Landgraf. Arik Khan, which is Rick Fraze, Rick Ray's. Frank Ray's, which is going to be another collection. So a little bit of teaser there. And then The Visitor, which is a short story, which is Pat Boyette. And Pat Boyette's like one of those unsung heroes that I just feel like, especially when it came to sword and sorcery, weird fantasy, just really doesn't get his due. So I'm working on trying to get a lot of that collected. If anything, as some nice material to have for the eyes, the eyeballs, for that. So, this is what's taking up, I think like 160 pages is all this great comic book work. So super excited and can't really express how joyful it is to feel completed with this whole book, but even with the collaborations that I had, like with John Molina, Jason Schoonover, Rick and Zoe, Steven Sonneveld, and Ken Landgraf. So, the biggest part of the CROM Anthology is, yes, contributions. Like if you would like to contribute and submit your work, always willing and very excited to receive your work and review it. But the collaboration part is really what I look forward to. And just so you know, CROM Anthology #2 is already rolling. So there's no time off per se being taken. I am going to step back once CROM is released and gone through the in the wild process and is out there in the world. It'll take a little bit of time, the month of December, holidays and all. So it kind of works out really nicely. But I'm already corresponding with individuals. Individuals are sending stuff. I got a couple stories. I got a couple people who have downloaded the free scripts that myself and Steven Sonnefeld have written and posted for free as PDFs on cromthebarbarian.com. And the art, I mean, it's coming together. My biggest worry for CROM Anthology #2, which was basically the same thing I had as a worry for CROM #1, is me getting my stuff together. So I am definitely going to know by January 1st everything that I will be responsible for doing. And then I will even be sharing the timeline for CROM Anthology 2 to also help people get themselves motivated and scheduled so then they can get their work in and everything. But wanted to share that. The other part is the artist gallery. I did this. As a matter of fact, I wanted to reprint this again, and I'm probably going to reprint this a couple of times just because I think it's just an amazing illustration of CROM by Jason Schoonover. So, I thought I'd kind of just change it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Where uses hammers, over here. So, just giving something there to be, beholden to. So the idea of the artist gallery was, I know I see a lot of them where they just bam, put your art in there and then it goes. My frustration with that is I want to know more about who this person is. Especially when I come across something and it's just really, really connecting with me, and I don't see a signature, or the signature is a part of the artwork, so it's hard to interpret. Yes, there's usually something in the way of a listing of contributors and stuff, but then you got to figure out what page this is, thing. So I just went ahead and kind of blew up a part, give a little bit more detail of the art. And then, of course, Drawn Sword, it's in New Zealand. It can be found at drawnswordgraphics.blogspot.com. But you can hit the QR code, which you're going to see a lot of them, a lot of QR codes, which right there on your phone, boom. And now you're in Drawn Sword's world. And that's one of the big things that I really wanted to have in CROM anthologies, is way more about it being resourceful, or let me say it this way, way more about being resourceful as entertaining. Because, if you really fall in love with somebody's work or something like just the overall CROM arc, you want to be able to stay in touch with it and stuff. So social media obviously is a big thing, and you want to follow along with that. But you gotta just kind of scrounge around sometimes. Just really think I just want everything to be in one place. And if you were to be somewhere and, down the road and you're here, at least you could get, from here to wherever they are to find out more about them and everything. The one thing I will say, and I don't want anybody to feel that bad, but, in my world, I would love everybody to have their own creator owned website. So these QR codes would go to their website, and all those websites would be organized together. I think that would beat the social media, stuff. That's sort of just, I'm finding like really, really difficult to go on Instagram, especially the app, and it's stealing time from me. So, and I know a lot of people are that way, but if you went somewhere and there was just nothing but art there and art that you got into, then, that's going to be a lot better. And I think there's something coming down the way. So the big announcement, I think everybody would know by now that the Brutal Blade of CROM crew, I am just bowled over by. I am so inspired and motivated by them. And of course, I've restocked on the first 3 CROM, Brutal Blade of CROMs, so you can get a copy with CROM Anthology. But the energy going with them, and Jamie Barrows being the project lead and really doing an amazing job of organizing and getting the creators together to create an amazing comic, anthology. I mean, it's still just amazing, the level of work. It makes me feel like I've got to really level up. There's going to be some things happening a lot more between the Brutal Blade of CROM crew and the Crommunity, with all respects to, how they do their thing and how keeps them comfortable. Like I said, everything is about low to no stress, right? It's so exciting to know there's all these other people out there just as excited, if maybe not more excited than me, when it comes down to wanting to create CROM material. So 20, yeah, I think over 20 of the artists, which I think is close to everybody, submitted. I basically just asked for like a pinup that they had already published in CROM. They didn't want to push anybody into anything new, or the title page from the comic, and then of course once again getting their stats. And a lot of people, it's going to Instagram. Machi, obviously, he's a part of Power Pulp Comics, so just a really, really great way of getting the word out, and then also down the road seeing more work from them. So I'll be going over more and more of these talented creators. But then the bigger part of it was this: I have updated open call for collaborations and contributions. So I've made it super specific. I know I was very open in this one, which, I was like, well, let's see if anybody was interested. And people were interested, and people still are, and they still would like to be a part of it. So with that, gives you a really good way of approaching the community and submissions and the process and compensation and all of that. And of course, there's a QR code that goes to CROM the Barbarian. As a matter of fact, CROM the Barbarian. So there is a pre-order page up, and I'm going to keep it up there. There's a sign up because for about a week, I am going to be keeping this in pre-order mode in the secret page. And really only people who have access to that page will be through the newsletter with the steep discount code. And then once I get the final proof, which is out at the printers now, I've actually paid for a rush on it, but I'm hoping they don't rush it too quickly. create some faults, because there were some flaws in there that was a little bit on me, but still, the support Lulu has and gave me. I actually spent the entire day yesterday reformatting this, based on some feedback that they had, based on thicker books being printed by them. So, because these are international printers around the world, which if you're watching this at somewhere in the world, you order a copy, you're going to be able to get a copy at not insane shipping rates. So yeah, so get some details in here. Also, the biggest thing is no longer are you able to get a hold of the CROM mockup. So the CROM Anthology mockup is now off the shelf. 11 of them were sold. Thank you very much to those individuals. So these will be 11 artifacts, including the 2 that I have here. So that's 13 of them that were printed. This was a huge help for me to get my head around how I was going to get. I think at this point, this was less 220. I think it was at this, because I didn't have anything in the way of the artist gallery yet. So, but this was really, and I'll be doing this every CROM Anthology. We'll get a mock-up, and you'll get the opportunity to get a copy of it. And then, of course, you'll have the real deal when it gets here. So you will see a pre-ordering page for the CROM Anthology, but there'll be no way to get it unless you're on the newsletter. So get on the newsletter, and I will be notifying, if not 3 times, including today, so Monday or Tuesday of next week, and then Friday of the following week, I'll send another notification, and you'll get your opportunity to do the pre-ordering. But once I get the final print copy and I am completely happy with it, it will be time to open for the community, to the world at large will have the opportunity to get a copy of their CROM Anthology, as well as the other books that are available on CromBarbarian.com. So I am now going to say good day. I'm going to repeat myself a bit, just to make sure everything is clear, but cannot be any more excited to have the follow-up to my CROM Collected 2024 revised edition. And not only myself in my materials that I contributed, but the collaborations I was able to do, and the other contributions that were placed in there. I will be going through each of the next 2 days to basically get people a little bit more of a tease of what's going on inside. But if you've been following me, CromTheBarbarian.com, YouTube, Instagram, you should have a pretty decent idea of what's going on, because I'm pretty detailed about it. Matter of fact, you might want to even go back to watching some of the previous podcasts, CROM Update podcasts. Definitely one of the ones I've gone live on and stuff, because I really get down and even show off the original art, which I'm going to do right in just a moment. I'm going to show off the spot illustrations I'm very proud of, which were the last thing I needed to get done. But before that, let me give everybody another rundown. So another rundown. Not only can you get a copy of CROM Anthology #1, you can pre-order right now, but you can get copies of CROM 2024 Collected. You can also get a copy of Jim Gullett's CROM collection, one of my favorite CROM creators out there. I really love the way he does his CROM the Barbarian, and we're already working on a collaboration, him and I. But his first 4 CROM stories back in 2018, I think. Yeah. So he put those in the collection. One of my favorite artists that I hope gets back to making comic books, Jeff Lafferty, was able to pick up a bunch of copies from him. Did an interview with him, Jake and I, on Turbo Pit Fighter, which, by the way, you can also get Turbo teasers, because we have the second printing, which is an open edition. So I'll be printing these until everybody's thoroughly sick of them. Yes, I had a really awesome time talking with Jeff Lafferty, and Scoundrel's Dread, dark concept art, Intergalactic Bounty Hunters by Drawn Sword, who has the CROM Courageous Part 1, 11-pager, which with writer Ron Parsons, and they're already committed to 2 more parts to their CROM Courageous story arc. And of course, Brutal Blade of CROM. These are like 56 pages of some amazing indie artists, and some great depth being brought to a silly little barbarian character who just so happens to be in the public domain that anybody can play around with. And I'm looking forward to not only having people contribute to CROM Anthologies and the Crommunity, CROMthebarbarian.com, but make their own stuff. And I'd love to be able to help in distributing it through CROMthebarbarian.com. So really, really excited. But with that being said, I'm going to leave us with the spot illustrations, just so everybody's got a good idea what I'm talking about here. Here we go. So CROM of Clarn is a 30-pager, just like CROM and the Warlock of Sharador. So this was another 30-pager and spot illustration. These are 2 of 3 stories. I'm already working on the 3rd one. Fox did very little in the way of pulps because he was hammering out Golden Age, Flash, Hawkman, Justice League comics. Well, Justice League, Justice League comics. So just to I think stretch himself out at times, he would do some pulps. Planet Stories was one of the magazines that published this stuff. And if you know anything about why I put together the Gardner Francis Fox Library, and I'm the custodian of that, and working also with the public domain character that he created with John Guinta, 1950, CROM the Barbarian, is Gardner Fox loved Sword Sorcery. He loved Robert E. Howard, Fritz Leiber, Clark Ashton. He loved the pulps and just the so when he wrote for the Planet Stories, which Sword and Planet, if you know anything about it, it's just got this sci-fi tilt in it. But when you untilt it with the weirdo technology back then, and lean it heavier into the sorcery element, you really end up with a sword and sorcery story. Warlock of Sharador introduces the element, one of the large elements of what starts driving a good boy from the woods, young barbarian youth CROM to the dark god. So that's what this story is really all about. CROM of Clarn has some mysterious history for him, like possibly where he's from. I do leave it a little open-ended. It might feel a little bit on the nose, but it's something where I'm using the past material Fox's to get integrated into what I envision the world to be for CROM, and keeping his voice alive, keeping Fox's voice alive. So that's that one. And the next one, I'm going to call it spiritual. It's going to have a spiritual element. I don't like the word occult, but CROM is going to learn some sorcery, or at least kind of get some comprehension of what goes with what are the elements necessary to be a good sorcerer. So I don't have the title hammered out, and I'm not going to reveal the story that's being forged into that, but I can share with you the completed. These are the. Let me just give myself a. There we go. I love the spot illustrations. I love spot illustrating. This actually has gotten me so charged up. I'm thinking of doing more in the way of illustrating with spot illustrations. Fox's other works, Kothar, Lady from Lust. Yeah, there's some chances and some stuff going on. But I did 31 spot illustrations to be kind of peppered through. And the reason, I've been asked, why aren't you just turning the material into comic book? It will, but reading it, I think with the inset of the images, I think is more inspiring. Also, I do it in a way, I hope, that if you kind of go through these images one by one, you kind of get this subconscious understanding of what the story is. So, as a creator, writer, or comic book maker, I'm hoping like things seep into your stuff. So just, there's some really good thing. I've been talking a lot lately. Maps. That's my biggest accomplishment that I have for CROM Anthology 2. I have some ideas on making some maps of not only CROM's world, but the world that inhabits all of Gardner Fox's Sword and Sorcery characters. Kothar, Kyric, Nile the Far Travels, and of course CROM the Barbarian. So this was a bonus illustration I really wanted to get in there. So there's just a nice full pager that gets on. But yes, there's a lot of technology. And the story really does explain how that technology ends up on CROM's world and is integrated not only in the world, but in the sorcery element of it. But the element I always like is when there's this barbaric state of the barbarism of the characters, and then ancient technology based on spaceships crashing, if you will, on a planet, and go from there. And the ending has sort of another kind of open-ended like thing, just like in CROM in the World Like a Shard, which I think is going to be really cool from there. But I think I have said it all. Hopefully, I have everyone excited. These two are just the beginning. It's going to be a day where there's going to be like 13 of these volumes here. From there. But the one other thing I want to just say to anybody out there that's getting excited and wants to contribute and everything, the business model, if you will, is very much like manga. So the idea is more along the lines of do things in little pieces, 6-7 pages, maybe, parsed out, and then, give yourself enough time to be able to get them into something like the CROM Anthology, and then collect them, and as they call them, the tokabans, and then you have that whole thing there. And so there are individuals in here that are contributing that way. I obviously am contributing that way. And I think it's a really good model. There's nothing like imposing upon yourself a 330 page and counting graphic novel you would like to write and draw and illustrate and publish and But it becomes very overwhelming and stressful. And I really don't think it's that necessary. But if you can take that 300 something page graphic novel and grab 7 pages right out of the middle, and start hammering them out. Not only myself, but others, and this is one of the basis for the CROM community, is to try to set you up with some collaborators, writers. Like I said, Ron Parsons, as a writer, was approached by Drawn Sword for CROM Creages, so that's really ignited that. Rom and James Anthony have a character and book coming together, and will be coming out through CROM Published, cromthebarbarian.com, which is going to be really exciting. So more is going to be coming that way. But yeah, I mean, even myself with John Molina inking his Maramanga CROM, it's just, once again, the excitement of making the art and having the art are two things. And that physical having the book is one obvious accomplishment, but to have an opportunity to work with another creative and make that thing, I think, is just as big and grand. And I'm going to be speaking more towards that, and really hoping to forge some relationships out there and stuff. Because there's a lot of people right now, which I'm very grateful for, who have approached me and want to contribute at whatever little level or large level they would like to. And so I just think that's the future of being an artist in this world is, fuck the hustle. Stop trying to hustle yourself into fame and fortune, and just get down and make your passion, and get together with a genre-based community and distribute through that from there. But man, I also have to say here at the end, I am as excited as this is closing for 2025, CROM Anthology #1. The ramping of excitement for 2026 and CROM Anthology #2, I literally have to I got to put my feet on the ground and just keep them there, because it's going to be amazing. And I just want to really express my deepest gratitude to everyone in the community, even if you're just somebody buying these silly comic books, or you're somebody that is equal, if not greater, in passion for making indie comics, somebody something from their hearts, and more importantly, contributing to CROM Anthology and the CROM ethos of a silly little barbarian boy that's in the public domain that anybody can mess around with. So other than that, if you have questions, please, you can contact me directly, Kurt@cromthebarbarian.com, or there's a contact form on cromthebarbarian.com. As I said, right now, if you're on the newsletter, which you still can join, if you're on that newsletter, you'll be getting an email. Emails have already been sent out with a link to a web page that is not hooked to the website. And in that email is a code that gives a very, very deep discount to those who are already a part of the community. So please, looking for your support, and thank you for it ahead of time, and be looking forward to hearing more from me on Monday or Tuesday of the coming week. Yeah, thank you very much for being a part and listening. So take care, everyone.